Imagine stepping into an elevator, the doors slowly closing, and then you notice you're not alone. A chill runs down your spine as you find yourself sharing the cramped elevator with a woman. She's peculiar, her face obscured by the shadow of her wide-brimmed hat, her clothes whispering tales of a bygone era. An awkward silence hangs in the air, only broken by the soft hum of the elevator and the occasional ping as it ascends. You exchange cursory glances with her, but she remains eerily silent, her gaze fixed on the elevator doors. Her presence is unsettling, yet you find yourself unable to look away. The air grows colder, the lights flicker, and a shiver of unease creeps up your spine. The elevator jolts to a stop, the doors slide open, and you step out into the hallway, glancing over your shoulder. But she's vanished. The elevator is empty, as if she was never there. You brush it off as a trick of the light or the product of an overactive imagination. Days turn into weeks, and the memory of the mysterious woman fades. Until one night, while scrolling through a local history blog, you stumble upon an old newspaper article. The headline sends a chill down your spine. Tragic elevator accident claims woman's life. The article is dated several decades ago, but the accompanying photograph is unmistakably her. The same wide-brimmed hat, the same dated attire. The woman who shared the elevator with you was the very same who had tragically met her end in that elevator years ago. Your heart pounds in your chest as you sit in stunned silence. The screens glow the only light in the dark room. A shiver runs down your spine, and you can't help but glance over your shoulder, half expecting to see her standing there. The woman was never seen again, reminding us that sometimes we may not be as alone as we think. Elevators are meant to take us from one floor to another, but what happens when one takes you somewhere unexpected? Imagine a group of friends, 5 in total, caught in the throes of a night out in a bustling city. They stumble upon a towering high-rise building, its glassy exterior mirroring the moon's glow. They enter, lured by the promise of a breathtaking view from the top floor. They step into the elevator, the doors close, and with a press of a button, they begin their ascent. Or so they thought. Instead of feeling the familiar pull of gravity as they rise, they feel it push against them. The elevator is descending. They exchange glances, a shared confusion flickering in their eyes. The button for the top floor is still illuminated, but the digital display tells a different tale as it counts down, down, down. The elevator continues its relentless descent. 5 minutes turn into 10, then into 20. The friends begin to panic as they realize they've been descending for far too long. The elevator's digital display has long since passed the lowest basement level, yet it keeps sinking further into the unknown. A sense of dread engulfs them as they realize they are no longer in control of their destination. They try to pry open the doors, to no avail. They attempt to call for help, but their phones show no signal. The elevator has become their cage, and it's plunging them into an abyss. Eventually, the elevator grinds to a halt. The doors slide open, revealing an eerie, unfamiliar place that sends chills down their spines. They're not in the basement or any recognizable part of the building. It's a place that doesn't exist on the building's blueprint. The friends find themselves in a long, dimly lit corridor, its walls cold and damp. The air is heavy with an unsettling silence. They feel a sense of displacement, as if they've stepped into a different world. An unending stretch of corridor lies before them, and the elevator behind them is their only tether to the world they know. They explore this eerie place, their footsteps echoing in the silence. They search for a way out, their hearts pounding with fear. Hours pass, or perhaps it's days. Time seems to have lost its meaning in this place. They were eventually found, dazed and disoriented, on the ground floor of the building. The elevator was empty, its doors open, as if nothing had happened. The friends were safe, but their experience left them with lingering fear and countless questions. Where had the elevator taken them? Why did it descend so far? What was that eerie, unfamiliar place? The answers remained elusive, shrouded in the same mystery that enveloped their harrowing journey. They were eventually found, but the elevator and where it had taken them remained a chilling mystery. They say the 13th floor is unlucky, but what if it's not just superstition? Let's delve into the unnerving tale of a hotel worker whose ordinary day turned into a chilling nightmare. Meet our protagonist, a diligent worker named Jack, who was called one fateful evening to fix a malfunctioning elevator in one of the oldest hotels in the city. The peculiar thing about this hotel was its lack of a 13th floor, a common architectural practice to avoid the number deemed unlucky in many cultures. As Jack stepped into the elevator, he pressed the button for the 12th floor, the highest in the building. However, the elevator didn't seem to cooperate. It creaked and groaned, the lights flickered, and before he knew it, the elevator lurched upwards past the 12th floor. The digital display flickered and finally settled on the number 13. The doors slid open to reveal a hallway filled with an eerie silence. He tentatively stepped out, his heart pounding in his chest. This was impossible, he thought, as he stood in a place that shouldn't exist. Strange occurrences began to unfold. He saw lights flicker, heard whispers in the wind, and felt a cold, gloomy presence envelop him. He turned to see ghostly apparitions, figures clad in attire from a bygone era, walking past him, oblivious of his presence. He watched in terror as they went about their spectral lives, forever trapped on this phantom floor. Jack bolted to the elevator, frantically pushing the button to close the doors. As the elevator descended, he could still hear the faint echoes of the whispers, the flickering lights illuminating the ghostly figures in his mind. He was back on the ground floor, but he wasn't the same. A piece of him had been left behind on that phantom 13th floor. He escaped, but the memory of the phantom floor haunts him to this day. Just another day in the life of a hotel worker, or a chilling encounter with the supernatural. You decide. But remember, the next time you're in an elevator, beware of the phantom floor. Time travel seems impossible, but what if an elevator could take you back in time? Imagine the story of a woman named Marianne, a historian by trade and a lover of all things vintage. One day, she steps into an antiquated elevator in an old, repurposed Victorian-era building. The elevator, a relic of the past with its ornate brass fixtures and worn-out leather padding, was more than just an artifact to her. It was a time capsule, a direct link to the bygone era she so loved. As she pressed the button for her floor, the elevator shuddered to life, the aging mechanics groaning under the strain of years of service. With each passing floor, the flickering overhead light seemed to pulse in time with the rhythm of her heartbeat. Suddenly the elevator jolted, the lights flickered out, and Marianne was plunged into darkness. When the lights stuttered back to life, Marianne found herself no longer in the familiar elevator, but in a tableau of the past. The elevator had transformed into a lavishly decorated room, brimming with the elegance of a past era. The air was thick with the scent of vintage perfume and the faint hum of a gramophone playing in the distance. As the elevator doors creaked open, Marianne stepped out into a bustling party. Men in tuxedos and women in flapper dresses danced and laughed, completely oblivious to Marianne's stunned presence. She was in the same building, but not in her time. She was a spectator to a party that had happened decades ago. She watched as history unfolded before her eyes, moments trapped in time playing out as if she were living them. She saw love stories blossom, friendships form, and secrets whispered. She experienced the joy, the sorrow, the intrigue that had once filled these halls. It was as if the elevator had become a time machine, transporting Marianne straight into the heart of the past. As suddenly as it had started, the scene before her began to fade. The laughter grew distant, the music slowed, and the vibrant colours of the past dulled. The vintage perfume in the air was replaced by the familiar scent of old brass and worn-out leather. Marianne found herself back in the elevator, the overhead light flickering as the elevator resumed its ascent. When the elevator finally reached her floor, Marianne stepped out, her mind buzzing with the echoes of the past. She looked back at the antique elevator, the brass fixtures gleaming under the harsh modern lights. It was just a regular elevator again, a relic of the past in a world that had moved on. But Marianne hadn't. She was still trapped in the past, her mind filled with the echoes of laughter and the scent of vintage perfume. She had lived through a slice of history, experienced a time long gone, and the impact of it was indelible. She returned to her time, but the past isn't easily forgotten. An elevator is meant to have a destination, but what if it didn't? Imagine, if you will, a man stepping into the familiar confines of an elevator, the metallic sheen of its interior reflecting the harsh artificial lights. He presses a button indicating his desired floor and waits. The doors slide closed with a soft whir, and he is left in the predictable solitude of an elevator ride. But the predictability ends there. The elevator begins its ascent, but after a few moments, the man realizes something's off. The digital display showing the floor numbers remains unchanged. The elevator's hum persists, indicating movement, but he seems to be going nowhere. He presses the button for his floor again, and then all the others in a rising panic. None of them respond. The elevator, it seems, has become a steel cage, indifferent to his frantic efforts. He's trapped, suspended in a state of never-ending limbo. The buttons that once promised control now taunt him with their uselessness. Their lights dim and unresponsive. Time stretches and distorts. How long has he been trapped? Minutes turn into hours, hours into days. Or at least that's how it feels, there's no way to tell. The elevator has become his world, a purgatory of polished steel and flickering fluorescent lights. He bangs on the doors, screams for help, but his cries echo back at him unanswered. The elevator is a soundproof box, a cell that isolates him from the world outside. He's trapped in this vertical coffin with no escape in sight. Despair and fear creep in, their icy tendrils wrapping around his heart. The man is alone, suspended in a void of uncertainty with no end in sight. He sinks to the floor, the cold steel beneath him offering no comfort. But then, after what feels like an eternity, there's a jolt. The display flickers to life, the elevator grinds to a halt, and the doors finally slide open. The man, now haggard and weary, stumbles out into the world, blinking against the harsh light of reality. The man was eventually found, his ordeal over. But the experience had left him with a haunting memory, a chilling reminder of the time he spent in the elevator to nowhere. The man's story serves as a grim reminder of the terrifying possibilities that lurk in the most mundane facets of our lives. An elevator is meant to have a destination. It's meant to take us from one place to another, a simple function that we take for granted. But what if one day it didn't? What if it became a prison, a purgatory of sorts, trapping us in a state of never-ending limbo? The man was eventually found, but the idea of an elevator to nowhere sends chills down our spines. The tale of the elevator to nowhere is a chilling journey into the depths of fear and despair, a haunting reminder of the horror that can lurk in the most ordinary of places. Elevators, a simple mode of transportation, or so we thought. Our journey through the corridors of the uncanny has taken us through 5 chilling tales, each one more unsettling than the last. We've journeyed together through the mundane and into the eerie abyss of the unknown, discovering that even the most everyday objects like an elevator can hold dark secrets and chilling mysteries. First, we encountered the unexpected passenger, a spectral entity that transformed a routine elevator ride into a spine-tingling encounter with the supernatural. A simple journey between floors became a chilling voyage into the unknown, reminding us that we are never truly alone, even when we think we are. Then we plunged into the never-ending descent, a harrowing tale of an elevator ride that seemed to plummet into the very bowels of the earth, defying the laws of physics and reality itself. Here, we realized that not all descents are physical. Some are psychological, dragging us down into the deepest, darkest corners of our own fears. Next, we stepped onto the phantom floor, a ghostly level that exists outside of time and space. This eerie story reminded us that reality is not always as it seems, and that sometimes the line between the physical and the ethereal can blur. Our fourth tale took us on a journey through time in the time-traveling elevator. This story showed us that even the most straightforward paths can lead to unexpected destinations, and that time and space are not always as rigid as we believe. Finally, we ended up in the elevator to nowhere, a chilling tale of an elevator ride that led to a void of nothingness. This story served as a stark reminder of the terrifying possibilities that can lurk behind the most ordinary doors. Next time you step into an elevator, remember these stories and beware of the unknown.